Good evening, everyone. Am I audible to all?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good evening to everyone. Society for Data Science welcomes you all in its webinar series. Today, we have amongst us a known personality in a technology and the security system expertise, Colonel Inderjeet Singh Barara. Before we begin today's session, let me show you a few glimpses of earlier conducted webinars. It's a series of webinar in which we have already conducted few webinars earlier, for which we participants can visit our YouTube channel. To move on, today we have amongst us Colonel Inderjeet Singh Barara, Executive Member of Society for Data Science. It is my privilege to introduce him on a very apt talk he is going to speak called Deepfakes. Colonel Inderjeet Singh Barara is a well-known personality in technical world, especially in the world of information system, with experience of more than 25 years across a wide spectrum of areas, namely spanning solution architecture, project management telecom, IT infrastructure management, info security advisory and architecture, cybersecurity, and cyber forensics, data center designs and operations, cloud computing, and e-commerce. He has consistently delivered mission critical results and seamlessly managed diverse functions related to project management, service delivery, and key account management. He exhibits and models influential leadership skills through efficient management of large and dispersed teams while promoting a cooperative working atmosphere. He demonstrates a strong work ethics and encourages teamwork. While clearly defining standards and expectations, he has a strong visioning and strategic thinking ability. He envisions opportunities and converts successfully into business through swift and analytical decision making. Keen eye for innovation in technology. His core competencies are creating business values supported by technology, aligning IT with business, thought leadership, IT transformation, turn around IT organization and improve effectiveness, managing teams with focus on outcomes, strategic outsourcing and cost management, business process improvement and organizational efficiency and effectiveness, leading to applied cross-industry learning towards problem-solving, thought leadership for e-commerce startup. It's a wonderful, it's really privileged to read this kind of profile, and there are so many competencies which cannot be imagined, at least by me. So, and today we are into technological world. So before we move on with the session, I would request all the participants kindly be on a mute, and you can ask any question in a chat box, which will be served at the end of the session. Well, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am,
Inderjeet, sir.
and thank you. Yeah. Can, can you
Yes,
hear me
sir.
now?
Over to you, sir. Over to you,
So,
sir. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, Sapna, and thank you, Dr. Goje, Dr. Neha, Dr. Amlam, Saptrishi, and the complete team of Data Science Society for Data Science, which has been instrumental, for all these years to bring and drive the data science into Indian environment. And now we are global, and we have been doing a lot of work in the Society for Data Science. And what we bring to the table today is something very interesting topic, and which is concerning everyone. Some point or the other, we are being all touched upon by that kind of information. Maybe you are on the social media, or you are, on the TVs, or anywhere you look at it, you are seeing this kind of topic, which is embarrassing you. It is, you're being talking of it in the houses, your colleagues, your industry partners. So this is a point of concern, and that is what we have chosen to topic in the series of our talks is the deep fakes. And while we are talking of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep neural networks, and if we are not talking about the deep fakes, then or we are not getting into the deepfakes, that means, we are going to be missing the bus right now, because deepfakes is so important for us to know right now, especially when we are going through a phase of COVID, and we practically don't know what is the real picture which is emerging at times, and we have been put across a kind of information which looks so original, that we go for it, not realizing that that information was fake altogether, right? Maybe in terms of your videos, maybe audio, maybe fake news which is floating on the social media today. So it's a really point of concern, and that's what we are trying to be covering up. And in the course of my talk today, I will be telling you about the deepfakes, what it is, and how it emerged, how they have come all the way. So those are the kind of things which I shall be talking, and we shall be also talking of the rise of the deepfakes, uh, things that are not what they appear to be, right? And what I'm going to be showing you is something very alarming, which will be raising your eyebrows. And what we're seeing on the view file is a wonderful, images of different people, and kids, middle aged, and also I can show you the old age guys. But the unfortunate part is that none of these people exist, right? And these are the images which are being created using the deep fake technology, right? Similarly, these are the kind of images which are there on the social media. You may like them also. You may like the faces also, images also, and this is what it is. These people don't exist either, right? And they are being generated using the deep fake technology. So, this is the place where we are getting into a kind of dichotomy. We don't know what's the actual, reality. See this on the right of the view file, you find Jennifer Lawrence and a face swabbed, image of Steve, which is there, who's using the villain model, right? Can you imagine this kind of things happening right in front of you, and you really don't know, if you've never seen Jennifer, you will never know her real image. And this is something uh, pretty interesting, and what we have been coming across, uh, Barack Obama, and let me see if I can uh, put the audio to it. Can you see the audio? I think there's something on the. Can you see the? Can you hear the audio? No. Now can you hear it?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, no problem. So what I will try to do is that uh, this all images what you're seeing are all fake of Barack Obama, right? And these are being taken from the unmodified target sequence, and this deep fake of Barack Obama was created, where he's actually talking of the health issues and the healthcare in the country. And this is the person on the right side. What you see, is the one who created it, and this is of Ronald Reagan, right? And this is what is the deep learning which is being done. Similarly, just see the one which I showed you, how you are trying to make the images intelligent, and get the information onto the images. So this is again the image of Jennifer, which has been morphed, and deep fake has been created of the Steve. So this is the kind of deep fakes what we are seeing, and the sampling. If you have a bigger sample, more accuracy what we are seeing, and these are the kind of things on and off what are happening altogether. And with the power of the AI and the machine learning, this is only going better, right? And also when we talk of the GPUs which are there, the processing powers which are all available, right? It picks up. And this is how you do. If you're taking a lip syncing, you're able to pick up the actual kind of the lip sync the kind of tones what the Barack Obama talks of, and in the manner he delivers his talk, and that enables them to create the deepfake. And something which is of concern today is the election 2020 in US, where everybody is perceiving that there will be a lot of deepfakes which will come up. In fact, Facebook is quite proactive in this case, and we are seeing a lot of activity where they brought down a number of accounts of which were supporting Trump and things like that. This is something which was in the media for a couple of days, where Trump and his allies shared a doctored video of Nancy Pelosi, where she was trying to pass a derogatory remark, and thereafter it was converted to be talking of some gardens, right? And the fake video was floating on the social media, and it had almost 2 million hits. And just imagine if people, 2 million hits are happening on the social media, everybody will, or most of them would take it as a factual video, right? So with that as a broad background about the deepfakes, because I just wanted to give you the deepfakes, because before I do a deep dive into the deepfakes, so we shall talk of the state of the deepfakes, what's present, what are the face swaps and how it's being done, and how to detect the current generations of the deepfakes and the future of disinformation. So we shall be covering the topic in the four heads. So where did the deepfakes really emerge? And it's being said that the deepfakes practically, I'll talk of the Ayan Goodfellow, it was seen in the Reddit, and initially the deepfakes were being used for the pornography, where the images were being used for the celebrity pornographic videos or revenge porn, and that started somewhere in 2017, right? However, the Reddit had banned, Twitter had banned, and the Pornhub had banned these kind of videos to emerge on their networks, right? And what we see, what are the deepfakes then, and what was happening? We shall talk of the generative, a certain adversible network algorithm, that the giant assisted celebrity face apps in adult videos, which were the most commonly used. And what we are seeing now is the AI assisted content in any format. So AI has been, part of these deepfakes, and the kind of enhancing or kind of, you know, uh, easing out or giving a better results in the deepfakes, right? So some bit of the deepfakes which are happening today. So what we are seeing, why this deepfakes has suddenly taken off, is because of the advancement in the camera technology and the wide availability of the cell phones and increasing popularity of the social networks. So uh, all those social networks which are there, they are the platform from where all these deepfakes are being circulated. People like it, and before we even realize that it's a deep fake, it would have had 1 million hits or 2 million hits. And we also seeing that the video sharing portals, which are very common, where people share all the uh, videos which are there. I'll request everyone to mute, please. I'll request everyone to mute, please. So this is also brought through by the digital tempering of videos as an effective way to propagate falsified information. So you're trying to generate some information which is false in nature and make it believe that this is actually the right information which is there, right? And we are trying to push people to think that they cannot trust any information unless it comes from their social networks, right? And including your family members, your close friends, your relatives, you share it very fast. What you're doing on the WhatsApp itself, you realize that you never question the originality or the authenticity of any video which comes to you, whether it's a fake or authentic. You just pass it on to your family, your friends. So make them believe that this is what is the actuals. And many people, they open up anything that confirms their existing views, even if they suspect it may be fake. So That's how you are, going on to the deepfakes. And all the deepfakes which have been generated, they are using the generative adversarial networks. So I shall be talking of this algorithm, what has been developed by an Goodfellow. I'll request everybody to mute, please. There's a lot of irritating noise. I'll request to mute.
All the participants are requested to be on mute, please.
Yeah. So what we have seen is that the amount of deepfake content which is online, it's growing at a very rapid pace. And 2019, what we saw was the year when it started, there were almost 7,964 deepfake videos. And 9 months later, the figures jumped to almost 14,678 videos. And it's no doubt that this is blooming and it's increasing every day, right? And if you look at the historical data of the deepfakes, in the initial part of it, we always saw the pornographic videos were more, the deepfake technology was being used. And also in September 2019, there were almost 96% of the deepfake videos were pornographic, right? And from the dark corners of the web, the use of deepfake has begun to spread to the political sphere. We are seeing from the pornography, now it's all in the political arena. We're seeing a lot of things which are happening, and it's catching on like fire. And we see like deepfakes of like the one which I showed you, the celebrities. Then I showed you the president of US. So it's really catching on. And in the political arena, it's got its own, dangers which are associated with it, right? It could be distorting the democratic discourse of the country. It can be manipulating elections. It can be used to erode trust in institutions. It can be weakening journalism. It can be, exacerbating the social divisions, undermining public safety, and it can inflict hard to repair damage on the reputation of prominent individuals, including elected officials and candidates for the office. So in the political space, we are seeing this is a tool which has been very effectively being used in the last couple of years, and it is all growing. And while we talk of election 2020 for the US, deepfakes are already in, right? And there's a continued threat of cyber attacks and cyber war. And we have to be very seriously considering these scary situations, right? What we can see, they can change the course of any country. So what we can see is a weaponized deepfakes will be used in 2020 election cycle for further orchestrize, insult, and divide the American electorate. This is all there on cards. We're going to visualize and we're going to see weaponized deepfakes will be used to change and impact the voting behavior, but also the consumer preference of hundred of millions of Americans. And weaponized deepfakes will be used for spear phishing and other known cybersecurity attack strategies to more effective target victims. In a sense, the deepfakes are a bigger threat now. We have to be very careful when it comes to the governments, when it comes to the elections, when it comes to the political space. So this is a challenge what we are seeing. But let's understand about the technology. I mean, telling you about the overall space and why you need to know about the deepfakes, because this word should not be anymore out of your dictionary. It should be very much part of your daily discussions, right? And what we are seeing is that the combination of the terms like the deep learning and the fake, that emerged actually in 2017, and it was powered by new deep learning method called the generative adversarial network. Okay, and what has been available today to us is like there are a bunch of platforms and tools that can be used for creating deepfakes. So there's a platform called FaceSwap, Deepfakes itself. Then there are Lyrebird, It's a kind of a fake voice cloning platform. Then you have humane.ai for the deepfakes for dancing, and Mr. Deepfakes forums for deepfake for porn. So there are different platforms which are available, which can be there. Some of them are paid, some are on the GitHub. One can utilize those platforms for your gainful usage, and do it. And what we see, when we spoke of 2017 with 2020, the resolution of the images has been, as it's growing, as it's changing, we are seeing the deepfakes are getting better. So 2018, when we had 64 by 64 kilobyte, image, it was the one we could use it. And now what we see is 320 by 320 size. So that's the kind of the frames which are available, which you can utilize for making the deepfakes, and the resolutions are getting better, right? So what practically happens is that basically you start the user feeding the application with the source material. That's called the training data. That means if you want to morph or change my image, so that's called the training data, and that is collected from anywhere, including the Google Images, YouTube, and DVD, right? And higher the quality, the better is the output what we are seeing. And for better quality, you require a better processing power. So more so, what we are looking in for a better GPU card. And once you have those processing power, the faces are then extracted from the still frames from the source content, and a model is run to properly place one face on top of the other. So once you're able to do the superimposition of the face, this starts working. And when you are finally face swap the frames, they are converted into a video format. And this entire process can take between few hours to few days. So it's not an easy process. It takes computing power. It takes perseverance. It takes number of clips or a video clips for that matter to between the training data and the output data what you're looking for, right? So the AI technique behind the deepfakes are what we can say is, one is the autoencoder, and primarily autoencoders are the neural networks that first deconstruct, that's encode, and then reconstruct the input. And how they do it, I'll be telling you subsequently, and of course it cannot reconstruct the image to its previous self, but in order to try it, it learns important features of the images, and that's what it reconstructs it for. Okay, and the encoder converts the image into a lower dimension latent space, and the decoder reconstructs the image from the latent space. So this is how the encoder and the decoder work to superimpose the images on one another, right? And this is the gentleman, he's Ian Goodfellow, who's supposed to be the father of deepfakes, and he's the one who was doing the research, and his thesis work was in AI, and he created the generative adversarial network. And primarily it was based on the two neural networks. One was the generator and second was the discriminator, and based on that, he was able to create it. So he is being the most sought after man in the industry today. So he was initially in Google, and now he is part of the Apple Industries as director of machine learning. So that's where he is right now. Okay, and what the techniques of the GAN is that this is an upgrade of the autoencoder method. So what I told you, the autoencoder method, the GAN was the upgrade version, and in GAN, any defect in the image is caught and dealt with. So you are smoothing the image whenever there's any transition between two superimpositions of the image. You're trying to smoothen it out, and it consists of a generator and a discriminator. So there are two neural networks, like I told you, one against the other. So it's a gaming algorithm which you're trying to play, and you try to have a better generator, and you try to again improve upon the discriminator so that it matches to each other. Okay, and you're able to then generate a synthetic image with real features extracted from the various real images. So you're trying to match both of them. And the deepfakes can be very useful in various industries, and we are seeing it in gaming industry, special effects which are there. So that's how this algorithm pretty works nicely. And this algorithm, of course, though it's been created, it poses a threats too. Anyone with this technology can create a misleading video, and that's what we are seeing on the social media, and can easily influence the masses with the help of the social media. Okay, the trustworthiness of the material we find on the internet, even when the media looks very real. So I'll just tell you how this really works, right? And when we talk to the algorithm further, you process the feeding footage of two people into the deep learning algorithm to train it to swap faces. And subsequently, I'll be just showing you some part of it as to how it's been done. And the 1 ML model trains on a data set and then creates a video forgeries, while the other attempts to detect the forgeries, and till the time there are the minimum errors, and the forger creates the fake until the other ML can't detect the forgery. And once you have a very superimposed image of the other, and the generator and the discriminator, they are kind of like it's a gaming theory. So it cannot find the errors. That's where you have been able to create the deep fake, right? And this is how you try to mimic a person's facial expression, mannerism, voice, and inflections. So this is how it's being used. So this is the video about Barack Obama, which is again fake, and it is about how to tell the lawmakers the electronic evidence authentication is technical and it is necessary to understand the fakes while you tell which is not real. So this is what they do is he's taking the lip sync here, and based on the lip sync he's superimposing. So just remember the generator and the discriminator, and you're trying to put it on one another, right? And till the time it is almost matching. And here you're training the video, and just see the person on the left is the one. It's just kind of similar lip sync what you're seeing, right? So you are trained that kind of lip syncing with the image you want. Okay, so this is how you use the deep fakes for the political agendas also. Some of the threats which are being posed by these deep fakes is the public figures such as celebrities and politicians may be more kind of affected by it, and they can be the initial targets of the deepfakes, and it is very much happening. They can be abused to cause political or religious tension between the countries. We are seeing that quite often now. And these kind of deepfakes can fool public and affect results in election campaigns, or create chaos in financial markets by creating fake news, right? So this is where we see how the deepfakes is playing a bigger role. Something more, what you can do is you can generate fake satellite images of the Earth to contain objects that do not really exist to confuse military analysts. Okay, that's the power of deepfake. And by creating a deepfake bridge across a river, although there is no such bridge in reality, right? So just don't think that it's the face swapping is the only part which we talk of the deepfake. The deepfake is more to do with other things as well, right? And so some of the other threats which we are seeing, we see the voice deepfake which happened, which was used to scam a CEO of $243,000, $100,000, and they ended paying up because of the synthetic voice. Right. So it was a well-planned deep fake which was being used to kind of fleece the CEO, end up paying that kind of amount. So it's all possible using the deep fake. So some bit of the face swap which I spoke of, and this is the face swap technology, which is free and open source multi-platform deepfake software available, and it's powered by the TensorFlow, Keras, and the Python. That's a platform which is being used and can be on the Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. And what you practically do is you do three steps. One is the extraction, right? That's the chop up the video into the frames, detect faces in each frame, and output well aligned. So that's what you do. Then you train that images to a deepfake neural network, and thereafter you do the conversion and apply the model train in the last step, right, to the specific video producing a deepfake. So this is quite uh, a kind of used platform by people for creating deepfakes. And the Jennifer Lawrence video practically was being created using the face swap technology by the people, and it was being superimposed by Steve Bronzy. Similarly, everybody remembers, if you remember it well, there was a Mark Zuckerberg who was being called to testify before Congress, and using the same video clip and the face swap technology, it was his face was being replaced with that of the Lieutenant Commander Data. That's the Brent Spinner of the Star Trek, if you remember, and that's how the deepfake was created. And if you look at the face in the clip here, that's not of the Mark Zuckerberg, right? And what practically they do is the thing which I earlier brought out about the encoder and decoder, and using the face swaps which are being done between the data and the Zuckerberg was, you have the original face of Zuckerberg, you put in the encoder, you have the decoder thereafter, and you try to reconstruct the deepfake package. And this is where the auto encoder, right, works in. So that encompasses encoder and the decoder. And you try to train the neural network to take the input image and the output and identical image. So that's what you do. And when you look in for uh, the the data, that's the generator and the discriminator here. So the training algorithm then feeds the image to the network, and whole process is repeated again. And you also take the image of the data, that's the original B, and reconstruct it again. And it takes hundreds and thousands of iterations to process and produce an autoencoder that does a good job like this. And to tell you, for this particular generation, they had used almost 9 clips of the data, Berent Spinner, and they had taken around 14 clips of Mark Zuckerberg. And in terms of images or the snapshots, they used around 2,600 snapshots for the Mark Zuckerberg and around 2,200 snapshots of the data. So that's how they were able to superimpose on each other. And the reconstructed image, if you can look at the reconstructed BA and the AB, is what is of interest to us. And this is what has been created using the deepfake that the autoencoder algorithms, right? And it just see here you have the face which is superimposed, right? And this is the video. This was the original video which you see, and what the gentleman created the video of the superimposed face. That's a deepfake, right? So other application which is being commonly used is the deepfake lab, which is being used by most of them, and by the YouTube channels. They are also using it for creating the deepfake. So This also is based on the TensorFlow and Python, and it's been powered by NVIDIA. And most of the deepfake videos are created with the Deepfakes lab. So that's what it's being used quite, aggressively for. Okay, and this is how the Deepfakes lab uh, process works, where you can replace the head. So the body is of somebody else. You are just replacing the head of a person with somebody else's body. You can replace the face, and this is Putin, and it's another gentleman. You replace the head, right? You can de-age the face, and there's the enrolled Shevnozer. So where you are de-aging the face altogether, right? And then you are changing the lip sync of the politicians. So practically what they are talking is what it is not. So you can create a deep fake using the deepfakes technology as well. Something which we saw quite often and was available, that was a fake app. It's there on the Android Play Store and iOS Play Store, which was there, and it was being used to create a face swapping, which it used a face swapping technology to create an exploratory use, right? So you could change your face with any celebrity and use it. Then there was an app which was a Chinese app, and it went on to be #1 in just 2 days of being released. And it was used to create a deepfake face swap app, right? And it was using the AI engine, uh, and it was able to create the face of celebrities on your face itself, right? So what the deepfake app does, it does it in 4 parts, so 4 steps, which I'll just tell you. It's in a very simplistic way. So it clicks the source with the target face, and you have the destination, the video you're looking to modify, right? And thereafter, you do the histogram of the ordered gradients. Basically, you try to reduce every image to grayscale and calculate the directions of gradient for every pixel. So you can make yourself look differently. So you are able to extract faces by this technology. And once you do that, you kind of detect features of the images, and you identify the features that that are required to anchor a face, and you look for videos and sources with minimally obstructed faces. So that's what you practically do. Once you've done it, now you train your model. For that you require number of images to train your model to reach to kind of look very original, right? And once you do it, you now apply the JAN, right? Basically the two neural networks to create the generator and the descriptor model, and you try to bring the generator to the discriminator very close to them, both of them, and you see the output the way you want it, right? And this is what you try to convert. Okay. So this is the kind of steps what you do as part of this. So coming, giving you the details of what are the states of these deepfakes, how we try to implement them, and let's now look at beyond the face swaps which are there. And though we know that the face swaps really went viral, there are lots of fake videos which are there, or the deepfakes which are there, but machine generated media comes in many forms. So that's what we are seeing it. And it's not only just the deepfakes. We see a generative artwork which has also started, having a lot of traction. And this is a artwork which has been created using the machine learning. So estimated worth is around $7,000 to $10,000, but actual sale price is, $432,500, right? So you are going to see a lot of artificial intelligence generated images, paintings which are there, and which are being put at a very higher cost using the generative art. Okay, so this is the video. I think the video is not playing for some reason. So what you practically do is, in a generative art, uh, it's a algorithm which is generating a new ideas, forms, shape, colors, and the pattern. So you can generate any pattern if you look at it, right? And you can create the rules that provide boundaries for the creation of the process. So if you're making a painting, you can have those boundaries, you can have the patterns, right? And you can follow the rules to produce new works, right? So any artist, who spends number of days and months to create a new idea, a generative artwork, and the code which is being used by the computer generator can generate ideas in just milliseconds, right? And the generative artists leverage the modern processing power to invent new aesthetics, right? Basically instructing the programs to run within a set of artistic constraints and guiding the process for a desired result. So you can create any image, any painting the way you want it, just what you want. And this is how you're using the artwork in a lot of games, right? And what they do is a procedural modding, and that's why you find most of the games are so costly, right? So they use the generative artwork, with the machine learning and AI, and then thereafter, it's being created for your games, and it looks so original, right? To give you a feel of what's happening, right? So generative images can also be used for creating, images which are random, and generally the games which you see, you look, especially in India where you see cricket games and all, or football games, you find the faces looking so similar. So these are the kind of people who can be created using the generative artwork. And something, going to the next level is talking about your fake news, which is quite common. And how we generated fake news is, we are leveraging on the power of the non-stationary Markov chain. And I'll request everybody to mute, please. And in reality, this generator is not limited to the news headlines, but it is designed to generate a single sentence sequence rather than arbitrary length blobs. So, whatever you want to create as a fake news, it can go word by word. Okay. So the third order Markov chain algorithm generates text by creating a statistical model of the potential textual suffixes for a given prefix, right? So that's how you can create all the fake news, and most of the time, which the fake news which you're seeing on the net or the social media is being used or being generated by this kind of algorithms. So you can also create images from the text. So whatever is the text which is there, you can create the images, using the artwork. So it's like the flower has petals that are yellow, white, and purple, and has dark line. So this is the kind of artwork that will be created. Petals on this flower are white and with yellow center. So this is the one which gets created, right? So that's the power of the generative artwork we are seeing for different applications altogether. And we also talk of the voice recognition and the transcription. And the voice, we always try to do a synthetic voice, or we're trying to get into a speech recognition, which is being very commonly used in Siri or Alexa on all those devices, or the voice biometric, what we are trying to get into it. So what we are seeing is there, while Google, Apple, they are already being working on the voice recognition part of it. Mozilla also has started with a kind of crowdsourced database for voice recognition improvement. That's a common voice which is there, and they're trying to create and solve the problem by asking the people to volunteer themselves and create a database of common voice. And what they're going to achieve is by matching the voices to the set phrases, Mozilla is hoping that their database will eventually be an invaluable tool in future for any app depending on voice recognition. So that's what different companies, different organizations are trying to do. Similarly, what we see, it's very common, and we've been seeing it for quite a number of years, the text to speech, conversion, and this also quite popular. What we are seeing, and we are seeing that the technology today exists where you're able to use the right algorithms to convert the text to speech, which looks just like a human. Okay, so there's a state-of-art speech synthesis models that are based on the parametric neural networks, which are used to train and convert, the text-to-speech algorithms. Right. So what we also see is that using the facial features from the source to manipulate the destination video is very much taking place. Even the voice lip syncing is taking place. So even if you have a source actor who looks like this, right, and you have the target actor who looks like this, you can do the reenactment into a totally different manner altogether, right? So you can do the marionetting of the existing videos, right, to achieve the different results what you're looking for. And how do you detect the current generation of the deepfakes? Uh, it's a kind of a cat and a mouse race. It's so very difficult, when the deepfakes are being created with so much of precision. At the same time, to identify those deepfakes puts a lot of challenge, right? It's kind of a AI against AI, and definitely we are going to have AI which will be used to find the deepfakes in due course of time, and there are a lot of algorithms are already coming up to do that. But what you can do as a common person is you can still find out the resolution differences between the suspect portion and rest of the video. So you'll primarily come up and you'll know that this is a deep fake video. And there are also startups which have emerged who are trying to create softwares that defend against the deep fakes. And two of the startups are the TruePic and the DeepTrace. Right. You can also pay attention to the shots where there are, where the face is angled or obscured to find whether it's a deep fake or it's the original image, right? And AI can be used, like I told you, it's AI going to be against AI. It's no more human against human. It's going to be machine against machine, right? Similarly, the pay attention to the shots where the face is angled for or it's obscured. So you can check on that to find out whether it's kind of a deep fake or a original, right? Similarly, there are while we are seeing so much of happening on the deep fake, to identify itself is very difficult. You try to check up whether it's a deep fake or not using ears, jawline, hairline alignments, and which may change in different scenes. So you can use all those mix and match to find out whether it's a deep fake or it's the original. But to put you and tell you some more, the Facebook, Microsoft, Google, they're taking a lot of initiative to detect and remove deepfake videos from their platform right now, right? And they have already told that they'll be collaborating with top universities across US to create a large database of fake videos for research. Okay, so there are a lot of impetus when we look at all the organizations getting together to fight the problem of the deepfake, right? And similarly, look for the inconsistency in the skin tones or shimmering. This is particularly around the borders of suspected areas. So you can still find out, what are the deep or the changes which are there. But this is all temporary, though. This is a kind of a situation that visual inspection will not give us the best results. It has to be a technology against a technology. and detection is an arm, it's an arms race. We'll definitely lose. It's going to be very difficult for us in times to come. And what we are seeing is the future of disinformation, what it entails for us. There's a lot of information disorder which we are seeing today. There's so much of information on Twitter. We don't know, what's happening. In the case in point, in India, when we see there's a lot of information which is by bots which are created by Pakistan or maybe China, and they are trying to give so much of information based on the deepfakes and create a false or the fake news. So the deepfake or the disinformation is kind of the subset between the misinformation and the malware information, the malinformation, right? And it is all fabricated or deliberately manipulated audio and visual content, and it is intentionally created, for the conspiracy or rumors. So this is the kind of challenge what we are getting in as regard that this information is concerned. So how do we really find out the disinformation all about? Do we trust the source from where it's coming? And on Twitter, we know most of the time whether it's a kind of original or it's fake, really very difficult to tell now. Does it look suspicious? It's a big question, and if you are not knowing the context of the complete incident or the complete storyline behind it, you will always trust it as original, right? Some example which I would like to give it to you, and we always say that Wikipedia is an accurate platform, as Britannica, and that's what we have been always doing it, right? And this is the kind of content which was there on Wikipedia for a number of years. And to tell you, this content was a fake article, right, which lasted for 1 year and was available on the Wikipedia itself. So how you really identify, the fake news, the fake article, on this kind of platform itself? So it's becoming a very precarious situation for all of us. And what we have seen is that the Facebook itself had banned almost 2.2 billion fake accounts in Q1 of 2019 alone, right? And they are all mushrooming day in and day out. They are increasing as we talk, and it's very difficult to identify how many fake accounts are there, right? And in December 2019, I had touched upon the point of, the elections, and Facebook had removed 682 accounts that allegedly use deceptive practices to push pro-Trump narrative to about 55 million users, right? And they were able to identify, and they were able to kind of bring it down. And these all profiles which you are seeing were being generated using the style GAN, for producing the profile pictures, right? And it is a much advanced version of the GAN. So how many accounts are being caught automatically? That's a kind of question which will come to our mind. And if you can say, if you have the right kind of algorithms, we can catch almost 99.8% if you have the proper AI tools in place, right? And we do have the problem of almost 43.8 million accounts that were not caught until reported, right? So it's a kind of a challenge what we are facing if we don't have the right kind of tools with us, right? So, and coming on to the deepfakes, and we do find a lot of good sayings about everyone on the social media, and this about the by the Winston Churchill, which says that lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pant on. And you will always like it, you will share it, but it's not real. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, so what's real, what's not real? We have to really identify that. And we're already facing the problems of the fake issues, the fake news which are there. And just see, I'm trying to show, most of the companies try to show they have a huge traffic which is coming onto their network, and based on that they upgrade their grading, their kind of ratings which are there. This is the traffic at the top US retailer, and you can see the number of people going onto the website to browse through the data. But just imagine what you're seeing here is the fake logins, which were 92% of the traffic altogether, and the actual traffic was just the one which you see at the bottom, right? So really, you don't know which organization is doing pretty good or which is bad, because they generate a fake kind of profiles for themselves. Okay. Similarly, you have the top three web retailers who had 91% hits which were coming onto the network were fake. One of the EU airline, they had 79.5% fake data of the hits which they were having, and one of the major hotel chain showed 47% fake data coming onto it. Okay, so uh, this is a kind of vicious circle we have landed up into altogether, where we are creating data, we are getting onto it, with the problem which is there. So some of the prevention and the detection efforts which are there is that, as you all know, detecting deepfakes is a big problem what we have, and it's going to be a challenge for all of us till the time we have the right kind of algorithms to match to the deepfakes which are being created using the GAN which is being used aggressively. Till the time, we have to try and use the visual eye blinking or the shadows that look what is wrong, and ensure that we're able to identify all those deepfakes, right? So those are the challenge what we are living in, and it's a very precarious situation. Again, I'm trying to say, with so many deepfakes which are happening, and with this, I have come to the end of my talk. I'll take the questions, now, and try and answer